reste un peu. Va-t'en mais reviens vite. Va-t'en loin de mes yeux. Mon cœur battant connaît la suite. Va-t'en mais reste un peu. Va-t'en mais reviens vite. Va-t'en loin de mes yeux.
3,000 miles separate Douala and Paris, but singer-songwriter Irma Pany is bridging that gap with sounds from France and Cameroon and lots of the places in between. Her latest record, Douala Paris, is an ode to multiculturalism with pop, Afrobeat and folk music all thrown into the mix. And Irma joins us in the studio to tell us more. Hi, and thanks so much for being with us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Now let's start with that new record, and especially the language that it's in, because after 3 records in English, I believe this is the first album in French. Why this shift now?
You know, I wrote this album during the first lockdown, you know, and during this crazy period of time, I guess we just all wanted to go back to the roots, to go back to the core of who we were, who we are. And to me, it was getting closer to my mother language, to get closer to my roots too. And I don't know, I guess I just had to reconciliate a little bit all these different parts of me, aspects of myself.
It was definitely a time of soul searching. Well, let's get a taste of that cultural mix. Here's a clip of Douala Paris.
À 5000 bornes d'ignorance, de guerre et de silence, j'ai cru pouvoir saisir ma chance à 5000 bornes de mon enfance.
Now, speaking of that cultural mix, you were born in Cameroon, you lived in France, I think a bit of time spent in New York as well. How do you negotiate all of those different influences and places, both personally and professionally?
It's it's been a wild journey for me to reconciliate everything. Obviously, when you come from Africa and then you move to the Western world, you kind of try to figure out who you are your entire life. And I just realized I was at home everywhere, and I didn't have to ask myself that many questions, except just accept the environment where I was, learn from it. So I guess I just let go the want to define myself. I'm just where I am and go along with the vibe of where I am. That's it.
Indeed, and that identity kind of shines through in your music. And I heard that in terms of the creative process, you start with the melody, you start with the instrumental side of things, and then do the lyrics later. Is it the melody that brings you the message in some way of the song?
That's true, but also I guess there is some kind of magic with just the music that is inexplicable, and just the notes can convey so much emotion, so much thing that even words and melody, words cannot do. So that's why I like to start with the instruments. It's very it's really an exploration. I'm in my studio surrounded with my instruments, my synth, my guitars, and I'm just playing around like a child, basically, trying to find that melody that will stick in my ear for hours and hours and hours.
So sound inspires you. Now, I know that as well as the composition and the interpretation, the performance of your songs, you also produce them under a label that's called Azobe Productions. And now I read that Azobe is a variety of wood, a very, very strong one that can withstand any kind of force. You have to be strong to be that independent in your career. Where does your strength come from?
I guess it comes from all my background, my educational background, but also everything that I lived, basically. I met a lot of people, different people from different cultures, and I had this chance to, live off of my music ever since I was very young. So I guess this strength comes from also adversity, a lot of adversity. Just being pushed into the world at a very young age, you just learn how to, get tough, but also keep your sweetness, because you don't want to, you don't want the fact to be strong to destroy this sweetness that we all have.
Well, it's interesting that you point that out, because on the flip side, one single from this album is called Me Faille. It talks about having weak spots or fractures or flaws. Let's get a taste of the vulnerable, intimate mood on that track. This is Me Faille.
L'esprit est un jardin, donc si tu le piétines, ne t'étonne pas d'y trouver des épines. Raconte-moi tes souvenirs pour qu'ils deviennent les miens. Oublie qu'il y a hier tant que je te cajole, je calmerai ton cœur aussi. Jamais il s'affole d'elle.
It's quite a brave choice to talk about facing your own weaknesses. Tell us a bit more about exploring those personal issues on the album.
It started at a moment where I was feeling very low, I'm not gonna lie, and I realized I was not going to find any light if I was not willing to face my dark sides and the thing that I considered being flaws and weakness. And I just realized how I come from this very, the performance background. You have to always be at your best, and you have to, mistakes are not allowed. And doing so, I realized that I cut myself off from a huge part of myself, because we're humans after all, and we're a mix of all of those things. And to me, today I realize how flaws and mistakes are actually the essence of who we are, and that's what makes us human.
Now, your career started with a bang when you were very, very young. I think it was almost a bit of an accident. Your debut album, Letter to the Lord, was a huge success. When you look back at that time, what advice would you give the young woman that you were then, just starting out on an artistic path?
Oh, so many advice. So many. But maybe the main one would be to stay true to herself. Definitely, to stay true to herself, to believe in herself no matter what anybody else is saying, and to stay true to what she believes in.
Do you think you've managed to do it?
I guess so. I hope so.
Yeah. Now, at that time, I know that social media was a really important thing. It was really instrumental into building a fan base, getting your music out there. And looking at your online presence, it seems to be more a sort of mood board or a lab for experimenting with things. Even aesthetically, how would you say that the digital world feeds into what you do?
The digital world is definitely a gold mine, as well as also something that can be very, distracting from what you want to do. But if you can use it for your, to bring forward your vision and for your own purposes, it can be very, very, powerful. Because there's a lot of creativity out there. There's a lot of inspiration out there. So I guess this is now how we feed each other's work, and I think it's pretty amazing what we can nourish with the digital world today.
Where has it taken you recently? Have you found yourself, getting sucked into certain visual influences or sounds?
Right now, when I'm using the internet and the social networks, is mainly to watch Eckhart Tolle's videos.
Oh, wow.
He's I binge watch his videos right now, and I guess a lot of people are. And yeah, I think that's also one of the true strength of the internet today, because those kind of messages you couldn't have back a few years back, and right now it's just out there on the internet and it's accessible and you can have them hear it. So
there's a strong spiritual dimension there as well.
Yeah.
Now, I read that when you were a child, you have a strong memory of realizing what social injustice was, and you've never really been able to accept it or accept any explanation for it. As an artist, do you see yourself as someone who has a mission to push for more progress, to rock the boat a bit, to raise awareness, wherever that might be in the world?
I guess as an artist, you do not have to have that mission, but for me, my mission is ultimately to help people to get closer to their emotions and to their inner world. You know what I mean? Through art, through sounds, through a lot of things. And I guess that's actually ultimately the art's mission is to help people get closer to what's going on inside, because ultimately it's just a reflection. Like everything we're seeing is just a reflection of what's in there. So,
Indeed. Now, Irma, I know that you're going to be playing some concerts down the summer here in France, but you very kindly agreed to give us a little live taste of that music. Can you tell us the name of the song you're about to perform?
I'm going to perform a song we talked about earlier, Mes Failles. So,
Fantastic. Well,
very
thank
happy.
you so much for being with us today in the studio, and I'll let you take it away.
À force de complaintes et de trop de grisailles, de la liste de mes craintes aux raisons de mes failles, j'ai cru que dans le champ où je sème le gravier, c'était de belles fleurs que j'allais récolter. En déterrant le pire, j'en frôlais les racines. Les joies ne s'arrosent pas de sentiments acides. L'esprit est un jardin, donc si tu le piétines, ne t'étonne pas d'y trouver des épines. Mais raconte-moi tes souvenirs pour qu'ils deviennent les miens. Oublie qu'il y a hier autant que je te cajole. Je calmerai ton cœur aussi. Jamais il s'affoletait. Plus beaux souvenirs, on les fera